Brother, sister, if you've been single longer than you ever expected, longer than everyone around you, longer than feels fair, I need you to hear something before this video goes any further. Before you close it and go back to comparing your timeline to someone else's highlight reel, God did not forget you. He did not overlook you while he blessed everyone else. There is a reason for this season, and it is not because something is wrong with you. We live in a culture, even inside the church, that quietly treats singleness like a waiting room. Like your real life hasn't started yet because it's not attached to someone else's. But Scripture never once described singleness that way. Paul called it a gift in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. A gift, brother, not a consolation prize handed to people God couldn't find a match for. And yet, how many sermons have you actually heard preached on singleness as a genuine calling, versus how many you've heard preached on marriage and family? The imbalance itself tells you something about how the church has quietly framed this season. Even when Scripture never framed it that way at all, and even when some of the most fruitful people in the entire Bible lived out significant portions of their calling while single. Today I'm going to walk you through 5 biblical reasons God may actually be keeping you single right now. Not punishing you, not forgetting you, but preparing you. Stay with me all the way through, because reason number 5 is the one that changes how you'll see every single day of this season from now on. I know how this feels from the inside, brother, sister, watching friends get married, watching your calendar fill up with other people's weddings while your own story seems to sit still. It's easy to start believing the lie that you're somehow behind, that everyone else figured something out that you haven't. But God's timeline was never running on the same clock as everyone else's Instagram feed. What looks like delay to you might actually be design. Reason number 1, God is healing wounds from your past before he introduces your future. Look at what God said to Israel in Hosea chapter 2. I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her. Before restoration, before the relationship was renewed, there was a wilderness season. Quiet, isolated, uncomfortable. That wasn't punishment. That was healing space, deliberately chosen by God himself, not stumbled into by accident. If you're carrying wounds from a past relationship, a broken family, or years of feeling not chosen, brother, sister, God may be using this exact season to heal what the next relationship would only expose later, at a much higher cost. A wound you bring into a marriage unhealed doesn't stay small. It grows teeth, and eventually it bites the person you love most, often in ways neither of you saw coming until years in, when the pattern is already deeply set. Reason number 2, God is building your identity in him before he adds someone else into it. David wrote in Psalm 27, "One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple." Notice, one thing, not a spouse, not companionship. Nearness to God, above everything else, was David's actual desire, articulated with total clarity long before he ever wrote about the desires of his heart being granted. If your sense of worth right now is completely dependent on whether someone chooses you, that identity will collapse under pressure the moment a relationship gets hard, the moment a text goes unanswered, the moment comparison creeps in on a Friday night. God is building something in you now that no relationship will ever be able to build later. A spouse was never designed to complete an identity that was already fractured before they arrived. Only God was ever meant to do that work. Reason number 3, God is protecting you from someone who was never actually part of his plan for you. We only remember Genesis chapter 2 for the part where God says, "It is not good that the man should be alone." We forget that there was a season before that verse, a season where Adam simply walked with God, named the animals, and lived in the garden without a partner yet in sight. That season wasn't wasted time. It was formation time, and Scripture records it happening before the partner arrived, not despite the delay. Timing in Scripture is never wasted, brother, even when it feels like exactly that from where you're sitting right now. Sometimes the person you're waiting on right now isn't actually the delay. Sometimes God removing someone, or simply never bringing them, is him protecting you from a future you'd regret. A future you can't see clearly right now, precisely because you're standing too close to the disappointment of the present. Reason number 4, God is teaching you to be content and whole on your own before you're whole with someone else. Paul wrote something remarkable from a prison cell in Philippians chapter 4. "I have learned, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content." Notice he said, learned. meaning contentment wasn't automatic for him either. And it wasn't something he was simply born with by temperament. It was trained into him through seasons he never would have chosen for himself, including years locked away from the ministry he loved most. If you carry unresolved discontentment into a marriage, brother, sister, you don't leave that discontentment behind at the altar the way you might hope to. You bring it with you, fully intact, and it becomes someone else's problem to manage for the rest of their life alongside their own struggles. God is teaching you now, in private, what most people never learn until it's already damaging a relationship. Better to learn contentment alone in this season than to learn it the hard way, in front of someone who married you expecting you already had it figured out. Reason number 5, and this is the one that changes everything once you actually see it. God may be preparing you right now for an assignment that requires undivided attention you wouldn't have if you were already married. Already juggling a spouse's needs, a family's schedule, and a household's demands alongside whatever God is calling you toward. Paul was remarkably direct about this in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord, that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. This isn't Paul putting down marriage. He clearly valued it elsewhere, and even called it good in the very same letter. It's Paul naming something true and often overlooked. Singleness carries a kind of undivided availability to God that marriage, by its very design and by God's own good intention for it, doesn't offer in the same way. What if this season isn't the empty waiting room you've imagined? What if it's actually the most spiritually productive season of your entire life, if you'll let it be? Instead of spending it staring at a door that hasn't opened yet, while ignoring every door that already has, every ministry opportunity, every friendship, every chance to grow that's sitting right in front of you unused. Here's what ties all 5 of these reasons together, brother, sister, and it's the part most people miss when they're staring at their singleness with frustration instead of faith. Checking their phone for a text that never comes, instead of checking their heart for what God might actually be saying. Every single one of these reasons, healing, identity, protection, contentment, undivided devotion, points toward the exact same target, your relationship with God himself, deepened and secured, before he adds anyone else to your life. David wrote it plainly in Psalm 37, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." Notice the order. Delight comes first. The desires of your heart come after, not instead of it, and not as a bribe for good behavior, but as the natural overflow of a heart that has actually learned to delight in him first. Whatever the timeline ends up looking like, most people live that verse backwards. They chase the desire of their heart first, a relationship, a marriage, a family, and try to fit God in around the edges of it once they've already found what they were looking for. God is inviting you into something better right now, brother, sister, even if it doesn't feel better yet. He's not keeping you from love. He's teaching you what love with him actually looks like first, so that whatever comes next is built on a foundation strong enough to hold it. Think about it this way. A house built quickly on sand might look finished faster, and from the outside, it might even look identical to the one built properly. But it won't survive the first real storm. A house built slowly, with the foundation actually dug down to bedrock, takes longer, costs more patience, and tests the builder's resolve far more. And it's the only one still standing when the storm finally comes. This season isn't slowing down your life. It's digging your foundation deeper than a rushed relationship ever could. So here's what I'm asking you to do today. Brother, sister, before you close this video and go right back to scrolling, comparing, or aching over a timeline you can't control, go back through those 5 reasons one more time, slowly. Healing from your past, building your identity in him, protection from the wrong person, learning real contentment, undivided devotion to his purpose. Which one is God actually working on in you right now? If you're honest with yourself, instead of rushing past the question the way you rush past most hard questions, be honest with yourself, because that answer changes how you'll walk through the rest of this season, with frustration or with purpose. Pray this with me right now, wherever you're sitting. Lord, I don't want to waste this season resenting what I don't have. Show me what you're actually building in me. Teach me to delight in you first, before anything and anyone else. And give me the patience to let you finish the work instead of rushing it myself. If this spoke to the exact season you're in right now, comment the words "Teach me to walk" below this video. And let it be your declaration that you're done treating singleness like a waiting room and ready to treat it like the preparation it actually is. And if this strengthened you today, subscribe to Biblical Warning now, because we're going to keep walking through exactly what Scripture says about the seasons the church rarely talks about, including this one. One more thing before you go, brother, sister. Don't let this season turn you bitter toward the people around you who already have what you're waiting for. The friend posting the engagement, the sibling announcing another baby, the coworker who found someone within months of moving to your city. Bitterness poisons the very heart God is trying to prepare for what's coming, slowly and quietly, without you even noticing it happening. Celebrate their joy honestly, even while you wait for your own, because a heart that can rejoice with others in the waiting is exactly the kind of heart that's ready to receive what's coming next. Your story is installed, brother, sister. It's being written with more intention than you can see from where you're standing right now. I'll see you in the next one.